Hey, where are you going, Jim? The elevator's over here.
Taking the stairs.
But our meeting's up on 8.
Yeah, I know.
But that's 8 floors up. That's like 8 times 8. I don't know. A lot of stairs.
That's the point. I've already lost a few pounds and earned almost $100 in wellness incentives.
Whoa, you're getting rewarded for working out?
Yeah, I know. I'm just as surprised as you are, Bob.
Fearless is full of surprises. That's the power of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Federal Employee Program. Learn more about our healthy benefits and sign up at fepblue.org/chooseblue by December 11th.
Blog Talk Radio.
Well, hey, everybody. I almost said that it was Wednesday. I swear I have this fixation of I think it's Wednesday when it's actually Thursday, or I think it's Thursday when it's actually Wednesday. No, I haven't had any cold medication, and no, I'm not having any wine as of yet. So I'm just excited because I'm doing a double-decker show today, a double-decker show tomorrow, and we're even doing a Saturday show. So I want to remind everybody real quickly. Obviously, I'm about to speak with Joey Ortiz, and then, of course, obviously our second guest is John Sterling Kincross, who will be on right after him. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, we have Acme Pelvic, and then at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time, we have Presenting Perfection, all of which is on my show page. Saturday, super excited, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Chris Shelton is a former Scientologist who was actually in the Sea Org member for about 30-plus years or so, and he's going to come on the show, and we're going to discuss some of the newer and more interesting aspects that are coming to light as it relates to Scientology, speaking about his own personal experiences, all the memos, correspondence, blogs, etc., and how active and proactive he is in the Scientology forum right now. So please make it a point to listen in to any of the next 5 shows. That's assuming that I don't die before talking to that many people between now and then. Reminder, real quick heads up, I am still casting for my film, Loves to a Mirror. I need 2 more people in New York, 2 more people in Wisconsin. We're all set for L.A. If anybody's interested, please email me directly at sin4251@gmail.com. And the other thing is Art is Alive, The Magic of Indie Movies. My calendar is going to be coming out in the next week or so, right in time for Christmas. So please support independent filmmakers. You have no idea how your participation and support matters to them. So please make it a point to do so. So without further ado, let's get Joey on the line and we'll begin our interview. Joey, hi.
Hi, Cindy. It's been a really tough day on the West Coast. The different parts of the nation, I'm sure you're aware of it, have different senses of, humor. And I started off a really rough day. So I'm more welcome in the Bronx and Costa Rica, which I've never been to. Or I might walk to Ensenada on a donkey this morning. I don't know.
Oh, my God. You poor dear. I'm so sorry. Oh,
no,
yes,
I got an eviction. I got kicked out of California today already.
I was just going to ask about that because I know that you're from Sacramento. So obviously most of us, like I'm in Wisconsin and I spend a lot of time on the East Coast, so I'm not there. So what is it like in your area, and can we do anything from where we are to help any of you guys?
In California?
Yeah.
What part?
Well, you guys are in California. I'm in Wisconsin. So obviously a lot of people are asking me because I have a large following, et cetera. We're all kind of frustrated because we feel like you guys are struggling, moving out of your homes, things are happening, and we can't help you. Is there anything that we can do from afar to help the families in California, including yourself?
If you can make it snow in Orange County today, that'd be kind of cool.
I wish, dearest. That's a God thing.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe rain all day.
No
flood.
Kidding. God, it's got to be terrible out there. I mean, in the area that you're in, because I don't know California well. So Sacramento, as compared to what's happening, are you in the worst part, or are you more secluded, or what's happening in your area?
No, Sacramento is really small. I mean, people get caught up because I'm from there. They think traffic's really gridlock at 65 miles an hour down the freeway.
Sure.
So yesterday at half a foot a minute in LA, it was trying, mentally. And then people that didn't understand what a red herring was, when I was at the airport with my friends laughing, they thought I drove here. I was actually taking a picture with my wife in the driveway on 24-year-old expired tags. So a joke backfired. So I'm going to throw my cell phone as soon as we get off this interview in the ocean and walk to Ensenada.
Oh, my God. You poor dear you. Well, I'll try to make it easy on you today. I'm not going to ask you anything too challenging.
No, Cindy, I have notes, so whatever you want to ask me.
Oh, awesome. That's wonderful. Okay, well, we're going to jump around all over the place because on my show I like to do a background about who you are, how you kind of got to where you are right now, some of your achievements. So we kind of move around all over the place. First of all, I want to start off from the very beginning. As a small child, of course. As I understand it, you lived in a less than ideal home circumstance, and a lot of us, including myself, have come from that. So maybe start off by telling us your life as a child. Kind of put us in that realm with you and tell us a bit about how you grew up.
Well, I was born in Eureka, California, which is up on the north coast, typically known for redwood trees, salmon, crab, and the best weed in the country at the time.
All right.
And I fell through a sliding glass window, didn't get a scratch, and then it kind of got worse from there. And then we moved to Sacramento with my Puerto Rican dad that I was about as big. I think I was taller than him at 5. He was a jockey on the Humboldt County Fair where he met my mom. She was a barrel racer. I think she was a foot taller than him. And so I was running from bulls. That's how I learned how to run on my grandparents' Uncle Frank's ranch. He had 2 ranches, and I was being chased by a bull in Ferndale, California, not Pamplona. That's where I learned to run. Then we moved to Sacramento. We moved to actually a suburb, which is Rancho Cordova, which Mather Air Force Base at the time had the Strategic Air Command nuclear bombers. So we used to sneak on the base and act stupid, but we also dominated in football. We kicked everybody's butt up and down the city, all parts of the county, up in the hills, down in San Diego one time, but we lost. And just different stuff. It was all great. I mean, I grew up with the best cops in Sacramento, the best Folsom prison guards that were football players, the best criminals, the best basketball players, baseball players. I think when I still hold the record for striking off the tee. I got hit in the face with a baseball bat because I wasn't paying attention, but I struck out 5 times off the tee, but I made the All-Star team that same year. And then 3 years later, I taught myself how to switch hit in an hour with a ball of tape.
Wow. That's impressive, to say the least. Oh, my God.
Well, that's before I started drinking beer at 8.
Going to get to that, as a matter of fact. I want to touch on that a little bit because obviously most of us, I'm a parent myself, so I have 4 children, and I couldn't even fathom it when I read that because I was like, what would make a child, and you were a literal small child at that point, what would make you get that desperate or so dismal to the point where you want to start using alcohol so early? I mean, what was going through your mind or what prompted that?
I don't know if it was a thought. I think it was, I don't know, probably back up to my dad beating me with a horsewhip. I think it kind of made me upset when he finally looked at me and I looked at him and it wasn't working and he quit and then he left. But I think a couple years later, I was a typical 8-year-old. 8-year-olds, we didn't have video games. We had basketballs, footballs on the pavement, Lester Holt up the street from NBC Nightly News chasing me off his lawn on a stolen BMX bike. And then I just said, wow, there's a lot of beer in my garage and all my neighbors are 5 years older than me. And then, hey, let's drink a beer. Started with a sip and then a few games and then, you know how that starts. And at 8 years old, I think the next day I drank 3 beers and I put them on ice and they figured out, they're better cold than hot. So I drank 4 more.
Oh, my God. Wow. It just blows my mind. I mean, obviously, not only as a parent, but as a person, clearly, obviously, right from the start, you're kind of behind the 8 ball as it relates to having healthy relationships and being happy and experiencing what regular, normal children experience, obviously. So I'm curious to ask about the athletic side of things, because obviously you're very athletic from a young start. And I'm wondering, obviously, not only was that one of your outlets, but obviously it opened up opportunities, didn't it, for you in terms of parts of your life where you could better yourself through athletics. Talk about that experience. That must be thrilling to have somebody come to you and say, you know what, you're so good at something that we want you as part of our team. What does that feel like?
Well, it's super empowering because for me personally, it was super challenging because, I mean, I could go into things like, the last scrimmage of I think it was my senior year, I walked into the end zone on a reverse, game over, and some guy trying to be a superstar dives at my ankle, almost breaks my leg, and so my whole career's down the drain. And then a minute later, I'm thrown in the back of a truck with no shell, rushed to Mather Air Force Base, x-rayed for free, figured out that my leg wasn't broke, but it was the worst bone bruise that the doctor had ever seen without a Mather VA card. and I was rushed back to my house. I stuck my leg in a bucket of ice 5 times longer than you're supposed to. And then on Wednesday, I couldn't play or walk on crutches, but I had girlfriends holding my books in bags. That's before I learned how to cook the books. I'm not for school for a month, Cindy. So,
my God.
But I kept recreating how to get myself in and out of trouble, not go to school, score a touchdown. One time I was crying and laughing at the same time when I won the game because I got cussed out by my Hall of Fame football coach at halftime and humiliated in front of my team. I tried not to cry then, but I was back crying with 7 seconds left, or actually it was 1 minute and 7 seconds. I've got brain damage. Sure. And they kicked the ball to me, and so I'm crying and laughing at the same time while we won the game. So it was like reinforcing that, you know what, I can always back myself into a corner as long as I can sometimes cry. I think one time I punched myself in the mouth. So it's just sometimes I found out that laughter is the only way to keep me from, I don't know, falling off another roof or from not paying attention.
Sure.
I don't know.
Oh, sure. Of course. I understand that completely.
But as far as athletics, it was super empowering because, you know, I started really with nothing, but the moral of the story was because I was always able to get out of these situations, get out of 8-on-1 fights, a riot at Folsom Lake, a riot on the football field at Merced, no punishment, 6 chocolate donuts, a $50 bill, and a raise. And the only problem was after that, I couldn't get any of the cowards around Northern California to cover me for the last 3 games. I went to UNLV, had a great time. My first time to Vegas, I came back with an unsigned scholarship, still not paying attention. Cindy, you're not supposed to drink a gallon of jungle juice and then back it up with a joint right before you get hit by a 50 to 70 mile an hour Honda Accord.
Oh, my good God.
With its headlights off, nobody found it. But if I wanted to find that car, Cindy, if I wanted to find that car, I could invest $1.98 on the internet, and I know every best repo guy in the state of California.
Huh. Wow. Well, and I guess that's going to open up a Pandora's box of questions. I want to back up a little bit because my question was, because you, as you mentioned, you started drinking at the age of 8, and then you started increasing your athleticism. But I would imagine that whole sense of anger, resentment, frustration, fear, all these feelings that you had for your parents, was there more extensive treatment beyond that? Meaning, some people talk about extensive therapy, some talk about the usage of medication. Were there other coping devices, mechanisms, things you utilized as a younger person? Because you only have so many resources when you're a teen. You know what I mean?
You mean up to what age are you referring to?
Well, obviously, of course, prior to having the accident, what was was there any healthy outlets for you? Obviously, athletics is the given here, but other healthy outlets for you. Let's say, did you have a support system outside of your parent, or did you have therapy at a young age? How else were you coping with everything going on around you?
No, the only therapy I had through probably 4th grade through when I got hit by a car was knocking people out in the football field or at Old Sac a few times, I think down by the river or Sunrise Boulevard twice. But I kept getting away with it, and that was a problem in of itself because then it just reinforces that I'm untouchable because all the guys that I played football with, their grandsons, their sons, their cousins became cops or robbers or cops and robbers. And so I kept getting away with everything and kept pushing the envelope, so I couldn't control my emotions. And I couldn't find anybody I couldn't find anybody, Cindy, quite frankly, up to that point, that could beat me up. So it was a challenge in of itself because I was a emotional wreck then. So before, I was able to reinvent myself back 9 years ago for the first time, I just kept getting away with pushing the envelope. I mean, I invented a 6-beer lunch special 75 yards up the street from where I worked for a $20 bill I borrowed from the owner of the biggest car dealership empire in the city. I told him exactly what I was doing. I signed 6 business cards. I walked into the best burrito La Favorita on Florin Road. I knew 6 words of Spanish. I pulled the cashier into the bathroom. I told him what I was doing. He almost fell over and hit his head on the toilet laughing. I picked him up. He went to the cash register. I handed him the borrowed $20 bill. I stacked 300 free business cards that I signed, all of them, at the counter. I knew 6 words of Spanish. I kept waving to him. He's laughing, jumping up and down. They served me my 6 beers. I drank the burrito, or didn't drink the burrito. I ate the burrito. And then I drank 6 beers. You're not supposed to have a 6-beer lunch special, but I was an alcoholic then. And so all these Mexicans that didn't know me wanted to know who in the hell I was, signing free business cards and leaving them at the front counter. So when I laughed all the way back to the dealership, I bought 3 motorcycles the day they opened the Kawasaki dealer, jogged almost got hit by a UPS van, sat back at my desk, fell over, hit my head laughing. That's the best drug ever invented. And then I had to tip and buy all the guys in the back lot washing cars. They speak Spanish, not me, to then interpret all the Mexicans showing up to buy cars from me because I can't talk to them, but they can. And so I got a raise by being creative because I learned that on the football field, signing stuff as a senior in high school when excuse me, let me back up. That was before I had 13 concussions. I was the best receiver according to Coach Whitmire from Davis, Coach Max Miller from Cordova High School, who I played for, Coach Jeff Tisdale, who begged me to come to Sac City. I went to Sac State because I didn't go to school, not Miami, where I cooked the books and brought them out to the United States pre-internet to see that I lied on my mailer that I mailed back to him. He laughed. He thought I was funny. I went to Sac State. I became academically ineligible 3 days after I got my football gear. So that was the first time I've ever heard of repossessed football gear. I went to school all year, dropped out at the end of the year, and then my sister's fiance got murdered the night before my first football game at Sac City. So I didn't know what to do. I walked around downtown Sacramento all night with more Kaiser cards than you're supposed to carry, extra driver's licenses, and I listened to NWA all night, walking around crying. I made, I don't think 9 guys run away from me. I went to a football game, the first football game, got a picture by myself. Coach Jeff Tisdale tried to send me home. I told him to go home. We played this cops and robbers back and forth. He unlocked the door. I taped my own ankles. I was in the stadium. I had to run 2 miles in full gear. My teammates wondering where I'm at. It was on the news. I was running around the stadium. I knocked out 2 defensive backs, caught a touchdown, and I was home in the third quarter. That's before the riot in Merced, and that's before me and Jason McDonald, who played for the Oakland A's, I started a riot at a football game. He was better than me and half my size, and I didn't have a helmet on when I knocked the guy out that was twice my size, and then we can go on from there. I didn't get punished for that either. That wasn't a good thing. I should have been kicked out of the world, but I wasn't. Nobody would cover me the last 3 games, and then I got hit by a car, and it just got better because I got kicked out of the trauma unit at UC Davis after a life flight ride. I don't know. I can't wait for it to snow in Orange County today. So I got an extra umbrella, and I'm going to wear so many pairs of clothes. Typically what I get in trouble for back in Sacramento, I'm going to see how many times I can change my clothes between here and Costa Mesa.
Well, I want to ask a question now. What age were you at when the accident occurred?
I was 20.
Okay. Now,
and I don't know how to rap. If I ever learn how to know, Cindy, if I ever learn how to rap, I'm going to move to the Bronx.
Oh, my God. I love the Bronx, but that's a personal side note thing. At 20, you have this accident, and I've seen the pictures. Obviously, most people listening in probably haven't, so I saw we want to talk a little bit about, clearly this is a very serious injury that affected you psychologically, physically, etc. Talk a bit about not only your recovery, but what I found so astonishing was once you got recovered and you beat the odds and you got back to a point where you were healthier, you started using again. And that was really discerning to me. I thought, well, now he's on the right track, and you weren't quite there yet, were you?
Oh, well, no, I didn't stop using. I drank a beer. I drank 3 beers the first day back from the hospital and ate 30 Vicodin just to go to the gym.
Wow. That's jaw
And then I
dropping.
met Cindy. I met Jack Youngblood with my crutches up against the bench, free gym membership with my catheter bag strapped over my shoulder. He tapped me on the shoulder. I didn't know who. I mean, I knew who he was. Jack Youngblood. He's a Hall of Fame football player. He was the general manager of the Sacramento Surge, where I got paid $10 an hour to guard grass when I was playing at Sac City. So I knew who he was. But after the 29th Vicodin, beached in my mom's living room, figuring out how I was going to get to the gym in a stick shift truck, I stole my sister's car and I went there. They tried to kick me out of the gym. I sat on the bench. He tapped me on the shoulder, and then a minute later, I'm working out with Jack Youngblood.
Wow, that's impressive. I mean, that does not happen every day, obviously. Recovery time was how long from the time you got hit till actually getting back to a point where you could walk, move, where you were mobile, where you were close to back to normal?
Well, I learned how to walk in a swimming pool at Coach Jeff Tisdale's apartments in the nicer part of Sacramento with a garbage bag around my leg because the wound hadn't healed. And then I was doing laps around the block on crutches. The first night I had my cane. I broke it over my leg and then threw it at my friend in his living room when we were drinking beer. We laughed. We thought it was funny. He has now the biggest BMX team in the nation. Rich Pelton,
wow.
Tangent BMX. So we partied in his warehouse. We couldn't get in trouble because the cops couldn't get in. It just went on and on and on. But I mean, it was a process. It was grueling. It was actually torture, but I removed myself from the equation because, quite frankly, I compartmentalized the pain. And I was walking on the beaches of Costa Rica where I've never been yet. I'll probably be there in the spring, to remove myself from the equation. And then when I read Napoleon's Hill book, You Can Work Your Own Miracles, back 5 years ago, I was doing that in 1991. I think it was June.
Okay.
And I hadn't read a book yet.
Wow. Well, and just to be clear, you had a total of 18 injuries, I should say, that are obviously resultant to this accident. So a lot of people that have been injured or hurt or have had long-term repercussions due to something, accident or not, oftentimes talk about getting to a point where they have to not only heal themselves but mentally be able to say, okay, I forgive this person. Because I imagine you must have been furious or frustrated or sad or a mix of emotions. This accident took quite a toll in many parts of your life, not just the physical one. So how did you mentally compartmentalize that, as you use the word, and get it wrapped through your head and come to a better understanding of what happened to you? Because I imagine you would have been downright pissed.
No, I didn't have time to be upset, quite frankly, which was more upsetting to me personally was the fact that because I got a D in math up to that point. I had not paid attention in school. I wasn't mad at anybody except myself, but I hadn't started actually beating up myself yet. But quite frankly, the physical pain, I overcame that in 5 months. I marched back on the football field without missing a practice. I proved a point to myself. The first day I made it back, I know exactly where UC Davis is. I went to Stockton Boulevard. I overpaid for food. I marched right up the stairs and handed it out to the nurses. And I said, I told you so. Where's that doctor? He ran away. Huh. I think he quit either or got fired a week later. And then I've been back to that same hospital probably 10,000 times with any kind of food. One time I left popsicles in my trunk. I forgot they were there. I've had sushi delivered there in a limo. I've had more cheesecake than is allowed by law to drive down Stockton Boulevard. Jack in the Box doesn't want my money no more. I've sold 87 cars last time I counted to nurses with perfect credit that just show up with my business card that I hadn't signed yet. So I got nails done while they were at work. I don't know. I mean, I last time I handed out 4 dozen donuts to the Sac Metro. Well, I blocked their fire truck in with my car while we were laughing so hard because laughter, I found out on mile number, I think it was 1740 when I was walking around Rancho Cordova in 2009 because I had just quit drinking after 30 years. And I was just reinventing myself and trying to figure out what my next move was because, you know, as most people know that have done that and lived, it's not real easy.
I imagine it's not. Well, and of course, as you mentioned, it doesn't sound like you've had this raging support system around you left, right, and sideways. I want to bring up your wife, your spouse, obviously, because I know at one point in time your wife was ready to leave or actually left you, so I understand this correctly, meaning how did you reconcile, or how did that all come about in terms of repairing your relationship?
Well, God, where do I start? My first actual wife, where I put a ring on her finger,
right.
We were married for 9 years. She was, I mean, everybody has their talent. She was a great woman in a lot of ways, but at the same time, she should have divorced me before we walked down the aisle that same day, before my friend passed out in a restaurant in Lake Tahoe. So it was just bad. I mean, she was good in a lot of ways. She was ultra, she knew she was smart in some ways, but she should have drowned me in the pool one night when I was asleep at the bottom of the pool.
Oh my God. Okay.
But ultimately on 11/27/2008, we were arguing. Cindy, can you lower your voice? You're talking too loud for me. We were arguing like this, Cindy, back and forth, like we're arguing right now. And she picked up her 3 free $1,500 cats, a dog, my daughter, packed up her car that I bought her, clothes, and then I walked around the house. I had a jungle in my house, a river, a pool I swam in 9 times, all this stuff that I figured out later I didn't need. Motorcycles, half price this, free delivered stuff that you can read between the lines, cocaine, free cocaine.
Sure.
So I lost a I got a D in math, a $10 million football career in 1991, not paying attention. That's $500,000 a year. I figured it out on mile 2175, I think. From birth to 20, when I got hit by $500,000 a year, I had to settle for $254,200. The judge loved me, $81. I blew $100,000 in Chico in 10 months to make myself feel better. I didn't turn my car off for the first 6 months, leaving it in front of bars. People thought it was funny. That was before camera phones. I could only imagine what would have happened then. I walked in every bar. I dropped money. I got away with stupid stuff. I packed my toys home, or my clothes, with my friend that now runs Folsom Prison, and we drove home in a miniature car. I came back to Sacramento, and then I got in the car business and created an empire, speed reading, bank programs, free food, tips on free food from the car dealership owner that owns the biggest car dealership group in Northern California. He thought I was funny. I am funny, quite frankly. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be a stand-up comedian or I don't know. I can't rap. If I do, I'll move to the Bronx. Let's start with today. I fell down 6 stairs. I hit my head. I go to my rental car, and the low coolant light comes on. So my head's not really bleeding. It wasn't one of my worst head bumps. I'm thirsty. I walk back in the hotel. The coolant light went on. I got an iced tea for the coolant lamp and me, and then I went to the gym and redlined the treadmill, walked 7 minutes on the beach, turned around, and I'm studying my new career in my hotel room talking to you.
Oh, my gosh, look at that. Now, question relative to, back to the accident, obviously. Are there long-term repercussions that you have retained from that accident that you just can't fix or you just have to live with over time?
I can't rob a bank. I've got a scar on my face that Al Capone would run away from.
Oh goodness!
I look like I've been through a mulcher, but I don't have a problem.
That is so not true. Oh my God! Listen to you. You're ridiculous. I've seen what you look like.
I get in trouble at home currently for packing too many pairs of underwear and socks.
Oh my God! Now that I could see.
I got yelled at yesterday by LAPD for jaywalking because I found my car and 3 books. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if it's going to snow today, but I'm looking forward to it if it does.
Oh my God! Listen to you. Well, there's facially, and then there's obvious body things and other things.
Yeah. Well, my laughing I found is a key through overcoming pain, torture, turmoil. Sometimes I cracked a rib laughing, but I overcome 3 broken ribs to get back on the football field in 5 months, so I think I'll be all right. My tooth, I broke a tooth one time laughing, but I put it back myself.
God.
I don't know. I think just focus is probably my problem because of, head trauma, but at the same time, my scrambled brains, I haven't found anybody that can multitask with me either. So it's
really
what I found out from Mr. Tim Grover, who trained Michael Jordan and Dwayne Wade and Kobe Bryant in March when I sent him not one. I'm not a master emailer. I'm a multitasker, but I kept forgetting the first email and the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth. When he called me back when I was sitting in Portland in my sales meeting, Cindy, I didn't know anybody in Chicago. The phone kept ringing. I said, I better leave the room. I'll be right back. I got to go to the bathroom. Well, it was Portland. I was laughing so hard on the phone because I didn't check my voicemail. I called him back. I'm talking to Tim Grover. And my girlfriend, Catherine Helms from credit union, says, shut up, you're talking too loud. I went outside. Well, it's a credit union. I locked myself out of the building. Then it starts to rain. I'm standing in the rain with no umbrella, no jacket. First tank top, not tank top. I actually wore a shirt to work that day. And then so I come back. Finally, someone comes back in, but they wouldn't let me back in the building because they have a single pass thing where you can't piggyback. I don't know, whatever they call that. But I had to wait till a cheater let me get back in the building. So I get back in the sales meeting. They thought I quit, went home, and left 3 computers that never work, a cell phone that barely works, I don't know, all this other stuff that rarely works, and I'm not a tech guy, so I had to figure out how to make it work without breaking it. So,
oh my God.
Anyway, so I don't know. Probably just focus is probably the hardest thing. Okay. Turning my cell phone off all day is key. The volume down has been extra key, or not throwing it in the ocean today. I'm going to work on. So
you're not going to do that. You're not throwing your phone in the ocean. No one will be able to reach you.
Cindy, I was selling bag phones through my mom to the state of California when they were $400 a phone. That was a suitcase phone. Every time somebody turned one on, my mom sold 400 of them. I got $400. That was as a broke kid. I was rich before any of my other friends that went to school got invited anywhere. So that's before I got hit by a car. So, that was after I got hit by a car. So I lost $10 million. Right. I invented the cell phone paper. I have a full ride at Verizon still. So I blew through 8 phones one year because I kept throwing them from Old Sac into West Sac, arguing with my wife, but I haven't drank in 9 years. So I don't know what my problem is. I'm ambidextrous. I can throw a phone and a football with either arm.
Oh my gosh. Well, let me ask you something relative to football. We want to switch gears just a little bit because that's one of my trigger points. So whenever I get somebody who's played out, I come on the phone with them and I have a couple questions because obviously you played some time ago. I'm assuming that you're a football fan now, and I'm assuming that you still watch and support, et cetera. So I'm just curious to get your take since you played before. What do you think of our players nowadays in the league itself? Obviously, things aren't as pretty as they used to be, and listening audience isn't as enthused with the football league as a whole anymore. And, of course, the CTE issue is out there. And was that as much of an issue back in your day when you were playing?
Well, nobody knew what CTE was. It was called getting your bell rung. But I haven't watched 1 second of one game this year. It has nothing to do with kneeling. Last Super Bowl, I watched 30 seconds because I was trying to get some chips and salsa at a friend's party. But
okay.
I don't watch it because I think that for me personally, non-guaranteed contracts, kids that don't know how to pay attention that should listen to my story versus buying 24s for everybody in their crew. Cindy, quite frankly, remember I told you I couldn't find anybody that could beat me up in Sacramento, and I had an entourage up until 11/27/2008 when I quit drinking. So other than that, I think that football players should pay attention. I think they should invest their money in weight rooms instead of triple gold Daytons, 8 CD players in the back seat. A 97-inch, I think I saw a 97-inch screen on a hood one time. I don't know.
Oh, my God.
And then what troubles me, they don't have guaranteed contracts. That bugs me. And then they're out 2 months with a broken pinky. Cindy, if I ever meet you, I'll give you my right pinky.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Oh my gosh.
So I mean, there's a dichotomy of things. But I like football.
Right.
I love football. Football made me, but also at the same time, watching the game. The 6-hour training. Okay, don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Okay, here's your check for $15 million. Okay, here's your check for $30 million. Okay, here's your check, and then mom gets she goes from the Bronx to Martha's Vineyard the next day, and it's not. I mean, quite frankly, I couldn't handle success, Cindy. It almost killed me. And so once I figured out that the biggest problem, quite frankly, the only problem was me. So I wouldn't have probably invested it in that giant screen on my hood. I would have probably invested in, I don't know, I like frozen watermelon and extra ice because I was always injured and I played hurt. And I sat in the American River for 2 hours a day when I came back from getting hit by that car. You're not supposed to do that, according to Google. I asked Jeeves one time 40,000 times. He told me the same answer. I sat in there for 2 hours for 5 months and played hurt, but I was only 65%. And going back to your question about the turmoil, the physical comeback for me personally, the pain, the torture, getting strapped to a table, thinking about Costa Rica that I hadn't been to, moving myself out of the equation was easy personally, but playing every down from 8 years old to 20, dominating, losing it in a second, coming back, and then having to stand on the sideline because, quite frankly, being honest with you, on my best day after eight Vicodin or one time 30 just to practice, and then back it up with a 12-pack that night, and then do the same thing over and over, I was only playing 4 downs a game versus every or 7 one time because I think I pinched Coach Jeff Tisdale's butt for 10 minutes to get in the game. So I don't know. Other than the emotional torment of not playing because I was always the first pick in kickball, boxing, hide and go seek, doorbell ditch. We played football on the pavement in 100-degree heat with no shoes a few times. Switch hit baseball. We played smear the. Can I say queer on the radio? Back then it was pickle.
Yes, you can.
I don't know. We played basketball. My best friend that should never talk to me. I could send you a picture of the rim that's still on his house that's bent more than my face. It's still there. We used to hang on it, dunk on it. We got before camera phones. I think I stole a Polaroid from Kmart, and he's got a picture of me somewhere. He's probably going to retire someday, and then him and I will move to Costa Rica, and he'll peel the bananas, and I'll blend them. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Listen to that.
So we didn't have all the things that the kids nowadays. I don't Google anything ever. Sometimes I find a way to a restaurant I've never been to, but I don't know. If my leg doesn't fall off today, I might sit in the ocean for a minute and not get eaten by a shark and try to get something to eat, change my clothes. I don't know.
Oh my God, listen to you. Well, let me ask you before we get to the point where we talk about, because I know that you've experienced and you said you've had a spiritual awakening in your life.
Cindy, can I say something real quick? Can I just stop the show? Mom, you're listening out there? I'm fine. I'm sitting in my hotel room.
Aww.
Okay, so the next question. Next question.
That's so sweet. So before we get to the awakening, we have to ask the obvious, which is this. I know that you're a father to 3 daughters. So I'm curious because this is quite a life led so far to this point. So I just want to get the feedback in terms of how your children react to this and deal with it and cope with it, because this is a lot. It's a lot.
Well, yeah. Personally, my 20-year-old, she's had a lot given to her, of course, through me just, private school, and then at 325 pounds, I outran the whole track team, bounced off the fence to show them how to run with half a left leg, and then coaching, and then My youngest daughter, she's a workhorse. She's also the gatekeeper. She has all my pins. She has my Social Security number at 5 years old. She's been shopping with my credit card since she was 7. With backup.
Like a girl.
With backup. She's got more backup than she knows. She knows things about me that, quite frankly, I know and she knows. My oldest daughter, that's another subject. She's in Texas.
Okay.
And the frightening thing, outside of the scars, they all look like me. So I don't know.
Oh, wow. Really? Everyone?
Yeah, I have that dominant, scary, I don't know what it is, but 3 different moms, they all look like me, no scars, and they're all smarter than me, so I'm going to keep pushing them and see what happens.
Listen to that. That's pretty cool. Well, talk about a spiritual awakening. I've had some friends who have experienced that, and it is not only life-altering, but I think it's very heart-heavy, heart awakening. There's a lot of components that come to that. So let's talk a bit about when you got to a point where you realized that this was happening, and also what was the precursor or the predominant reason for you going from being an addict to being completely clean and sober?
Well, it's kind of a long story, but let me back up. In '94, I answered the phone when I wasn't supposed to at downtown Ford, and I got yelled at, and it happened to be the founder of Abundant Life, Lord's Fellowship, or Lord's Gym in Roseville. He said, what's your name? And he goes, oh, really? I'll be right there. He came and bought an Explorer from me. We had 200 used ones. He bought one for me, and then he starts talking to me. He goes, you know Terry Douglas? Of course I know Terry Douglas. He went to my high school. I played football with him. He works for me. Well, he bought a car, and then he's half my size and from Northern California, former, doing all the same things that I was doing. He turned his life around, built Lord's Gym, and I almost had to call the cops on him. That was in '94 because he wouldn't leave me alone. I was running from Jesus in a dragster at that point.
Oh, my God.
So that was then. I stopped drinking 11/27/2008. That night I only drank 8 beers, not 38 Pacificos or the 6 lunch beer special in 5 minutes. That was my personal best. But so I stopped drinking. The next day I woke up, Cindy, I said, I feel better today, so how about no beers today? And then the second day, no beers. And now we're on 9 years and 10 days of no beers, and I feel better today than I did yesterday. So it's a vicious cycle. But moving back to the first high school graduation I ever went to, I'm doing the speed reading thing. I'm reading Anthony Kiedis' book, Scar Tissue, on the basis of a friend that fell off a 70-foot light pole, lost a leg. He said, idiot, you keep listening to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Cindy, I was walking into a free bar with the longest line in Sacramento, handing a playlist that I didn't even know the words to the Red Hot Chili Peppers, free drinks, no lines, my music, my club. And I kept getting pulled over by cops and then let go. And then in 11/1 of 2009, I couldn't wait to go to church because I knew exactly where I was going to see Pastor Doug Bird, where I kept saying hi to him when I was getting my 750 horsepower, which I didn't need, Corvette motor built 2 blocks up the street, when he still shouldn't have talked to me between 94 and 11/1/2009. So when I got that email, I'm reading, typing my first garbage book, trying not to laugh and cry at the same time because I got that on lockdown. And then I show up 2 hours to church. I talk to him. He laughs. I laugh. I tell him a few stories. He fell out of his chair. I walked right into church an hour early. I think there was 6 of the prettiest women I'd ever seen in church because I'd never been in church, singing their hearts out. As soon as I walked through the door, I got hit with 875 billion volts of Jesus Christ right in the head. That car couldn't fade me, but I think I sprinted on one leg up to the front row, sat down. I couldn't stand up. He walks in. The church fills up. He gives me a hug. It was like a baby hug. I whispered in his ear, Pastor Doug, I already told him in his office personally. I said, I didn't listen to a word you said in '94. He kissed me on the cheek. He said, sit down and shut up, you idiot. He goes up there and preaches for 47 minutes. He comes back down. He punks me. He stands probably 1.5 feet from me. He's talking about me without saying my name or certain events that he and Terry Douglas knows all about, and so do I. And he says, there's a gentleman here in church today. He's never been here before. Well, guess what? It looks like I got sawed in half on my face in the parking lot before I walked into church. Of course they know me. I can't, look at this. Look at my. Have you seen my face, Cindy, on the internet? I can't hide from the Easter Bunny. So I'm overwhelmed with joy because now I'm full with the Lord, not full of beer or, I think I ate 75 chicken wings one time in Old Sac. I don't know. Everybody in the church mauls me. I walk out in the parking lot. I start my truck that gets 3 miles to the gallon. I let it run out of gas in the gas station. Then my mom calls me, questioning me why I would go to Roseville to church, which is 32 minutes away when I could have crawled to church, 6 churches right by my house. I walked up, got gas, free gas, right up the street from the liquor store that I kept buying beer from when I was getting my Corvette motor built. He thought it was funny. I drove to Barnes & Noble. They thought I was funny. I got a free Bible, New Living Translation, Philippians 3:7 through 3:11. I sat in my truck with the air conditioning blasting with my free full tank of gas. I drove it down to a quarter tank. I sat there for 2 hours reading it over and over and over and over. I think I learned how to read around the 7th grade fluently. I don't know. And then over and it says, I once thought these things were valuable, but now I consider them worthless because of what Christ has done. Yes, everything else is worthless compared with the infinite value of knowing Christ Jesus, my Lord. For his sake, I have discarded, and it says this, and I do know this. It didn't say some things or one thing. It said everything. Everything. And so I could continue on, like I said, and so when the day that I do learn how to rap, I'm going to move to the Bronx, and I'm only going to have one song, and that's going to be it.
Well, let me ask this question to you. Are there points in times, because a lot of people that I've spoken to before who have fallen prey to addiction, they talk very openly and honestly about how it's a struggle for them every day. Do you feel that you've, in essence, conquered this and it's never enticing to you? Or are there days or moments where you're still like, I struggle with staying sober?
No. I stared down one Pacifico for 6 months. Like I told you, I drank 38 one time. I backed it up with an 8-ball of Coke, free Coke. That's stupid. No. You would have to blow my brains out with a rocket and then put it through a mulcher, quite frankly. So if you want to see me drink, you can line up the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and the President and do it on TV. And then I can't wait to see Jesus because guess what? I've seen what he went through. I know what I went through. I've seen what he went through. I know what I went through. I've watched what he went through. I felt what I went through. So I can't wait. Let's get it on.
Oh my goodness. Okay, here's an interesting
and
question.
he has my back because quite frankly, he had my back all along. And once I figured it out, he had my back all along. I don't have to fight nobody. Now all I have to do is take a deep breath, pause, take a deep breath, pause again. Sometimes I have to sit in the river for 10 minutes. This morning when I drank my iced tea and I went back and got a cup of ice and put it in the window washer. So now I got cold iced tea in my free rental car because the lady at the budget rental car who I made laugh, I get free rental cars now in Orange County on laughter. So I'm going to invest in laughter, ice, water, and I don't know. I think I'll be all right as long as the world don't run out of water. I know how to swim. That's how I learned how to swim. I almost drowned.
Sure. So here's my question. Before we get into your accomplishments and what you've done with the goodness that's come to your life and how you've changed and some of the things that you bring to society as a whole, I want to ask this other question. You have this really cool motto called GAIN. Obviously, the word GAIN, we've all heard it before, but to you, the word GAIN stands for something else now, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
And that would be? Because I thought I had this written down.
It stands for Go and Inspire Now. It stands for Go Against Ignorant Nobodies. I have it written in Indian from my hotel guy in Harbor Boulevard by Disneyland back at my house in Sacramento. I don't speak Indian yet. I have it in Spanish from my Luis hookup at the rental car place in Orange County. He told me I forgot because of my brain in Spanish. I only know 7 words now, but I'm working on my Spanish. So it stands for green as infinite negativity. If you want to go negative, I don't like to go negative too long because then I punch myself in the mouth. Let me think. See, green, apples, intense, nectar.
Oh my gosh, he's got about a million meanings for that. I like the first one myself the best, obviously.
Yeah, go and inspire now. And because you know what, quite frankly, I found out in May of this year, there's a theory called the 5-second rule. Well, quite frankly, I invented the 1-second rule in 1975. So,
oh my God!
and when I woke up, let me think. When I woke up, Cindy, in 2009, or actually 2008, on 2009 when I was walking around Rancho Cordova, I was on lap 1,381 miles. That's kind of a weird circumstance because 81 was my football number. And why would I want to pay for King season tickets when I've always got in just by waving? So I should have invested in waving and not drinking and driving or letting my car sleep or spend the night or the weekend at Arco Arena. I should have invested in waving, arguing with my now ex-wife on my motocross track I built 50 yards from Elk Grove Police Department. Elk Grove Police Department had kids. I waved. They turned their lights on and laughed. They kept driving by. I taught my kid how to ride her motorcycle, her first motorcycle. In 3 minutes, she never had a motorcycle. I rode my fastest dirt bike in town 50 feet from the same cop station. No one wrote me a cop ticket. I don't know. Cops like motorcycles. They have ones with lights on them. I don't. I don't know what to say.
No, I totally get it. I
love the police. How can you not like the police? Now, police are human beings. They make mistakes, but when they make a mistake, they have federal government, sometimes state, county, and they have guns, badges, bullets, and guns. I like being nice to them. They should. I've been incorrigible with cops a few times, and so the times that I was incorrigible, they remember that too. So
I bet.
And they should have shot me 3 times. They didn't.
And thank God they didn't. But that would have been even worse. Thank God you've been through enough.
Quite frankly, I don't remember them. I know they remember me. So they're invited to my premiere or the first stand-up comedy I do. I don't know.
Well, that brings us to present day, obviously, and you've done some remarkable things. On one side of the fence, I know that you serve as a motivational speaker. And obviously, of course, you've done your 3 books, Unstoppable, Blow Up Your Landing Craft, and Correcting a Reckless Life. I want to ask you about the book stuff for a second here. Clearly, some of us who have gone through negative or horrid experiences, in some ways it's almost like reliving, I would think, certain things by talking about it, writing books about it, etc. What did you yourself take away from writing these books? How did it empower you, or has it empowered others? Have they come back, given you feedback on it? How has it touched lives by producing these 3 books?
Well, the first book I wrote was the worst book, quite frankly, because I'd never written a book. And so I'm reading Anthony Kiedis' Scar Tissue. I'm writing a book. But his story and my story were kind of colliding, although I'd never been under the bridge, but I jumped off the Sunrise Bridge into the river, which you shouldn't do that. But reliving it wasn't hard, but they were supposed to edit it. But so I kept going back trying to fix it. They didn't edit it. It went out for 6 years. You can look at the price right now on Amazon. I don't get a penny. I don't need a penny. But they keep printing them, and the price keeps going up like Bitcoin. Then I figured out, I pouted for probably half a second, found out that Amazon makes books. They'll never run out of money. They're buying things. Sure. And so Unstoppable is 5 times better, but it's not what I did. It's what I saw. But it's half the book, professionally edited by a lady I've never met in Rochester. She's awesome, Janelle Shingoletti. And then then Blow Up Your Landing Craft is not even a book, Cindy. It's actually a training manual. I think it's 36 pages, as I recall. I haven't read it. not from the pain end of it, because it really has nothing to do with me. It's about, Cindy, you yelling at me on the phone, me yelling at you. We go back and forth, and finally I said, Cindy, you win. You win. I got to go. I got to go throw my phone in the ocean. So the book I'm writing now is going to be better than all of them because I have a professional editor, and I have all these thoughts. Because quite frankly, if we could back up, the first book was not reliving anything, but it was just things that I had remembered, some of which I remember more now, not from the reliving end of it, but I woke up this morning and realized that I was in Guy Fieri's front yard at 7, and he hadn't cooked anything. So in Ferndale, California, where my mom and dad met, and I was getting chased by bulls. So I look forward to what that 12th book is going to look like. So I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know.
So there will be that many. Holy mackerel. I'm going to keep writing. But Cindy, I didn't have to steal my book or my movie when it comes out. I lived it. I endured it. You've seen my face. And if I wake up tomorrow and find out that I got bit twice by a rattlesnake, I'll probably write 13 books. I don't know. So well,
it's
more
just
power to you, though. That's important.
It's a matter, but we have to share information because it's not about me at this point. Because quite frankly, when I sent out the red herring yesterday, the people on the West Coast don't know what a red herring is. My Mexican friend, Jesse Robles, who told me to write a book while we were laughing at the bar, I went home that night, started writing a book. He drank himself to death 6 months later. I didn't know what a red herring was either. When he told me at the same bar, I sent out a joke. My friends at the airport thought it was funny. I was the first one on the airplane. Most of my friends opened up the text that I subsequently sent to let them know I wasn't driving the same brand new car that I just got 6 months ago with an expired license plate on it that I've owned for 24 years. Who would do that? It was a picture. So I have a screwdriver, Cindy. I'll send you one tomorrow. If you want 12, I have those too. So I took an old license plate off, put a new one on, same license plate frame, one picture, put it back, hung it on the wall. It's still at my house where I live safely in Rancho Cordova, right next door to the mayor of Rancho Cordova with his kids. I went to kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, until they should have kicked me out of school in ninth grade. And I graduated in 12th in record time. I don't know how I did that either. They still talk to me. They love me. I mow his lawn. He doesn't ask. I put his windshield wiper blades on for him. He doesn't ask for that either. So live, learn, share. We should all get along instead of trying to. I found out from Mr. Tim Grover on the same phone call, there's some people in the world that hate on the 15-year-old with a work permit slinging French fries. That's unfortunate. She's trying to find her way. There's some people that hate on the 92-year-old widow busting her ass, if I could say that, Cindy, on your radio show at Walmart. And quite frankly, when Mr. Tim Grover hit me in the head when I got rained on for 30 minutes in a First Tech Credit Union shirt, drenched in water, I'm glad my free cell phone didn't drown out in the battery when I finally let somebody let me back in the building, drenched. I couldn't stop laughing. I sat at the table for 45 minutes. Cindy, I would have rather this would have been an interrogation instead of an interview, but they interrogated me for 45 minutes. To what in the hell happened? Did you fall in the toilet? That was the first question. No. Why are you wet? You don't want to know. What's wrong with you? Nothing. Why are you so wet? I ran into sprinklers. Next question. So we played this cat and mouse game. I like cat and mouse. Cindy, you want to laugh? When I was a kid, we played hide and go seek. I walked away one time. I came back 4 hours later. I won. So the second time I backed it up by a day and a half. My first girlfriend, I ate all her food. Then I went home. So I don't know.
My goodness gracious.
And that's before the hamburger stand opened 2 blocks from my house. Otherwise, I would have went home in a month. So I just kept eating and eating, drinking and drinking. I couldn't get enough. The whole moral of the story is till I walked through church, 11/1/2009, 81,757 billion volts of Jesus Christ right in the head. You know what? I haven't had anything to eat today yet. I haven't eaten yet, but I drank iced tea with my car, rental car. I'll put some more ice in the cold window washer, iced tea, and then I'll drive down and leave my car in Costa Mesa and walk and try to fade a salad in under 7 minutes. I think I'll be all right.
Well, and I forgot to mention the obvious other thing that you do here, which we don't want to forget to talk about, which is obviously you use your time and talents to act as a motivational speaker. So if someone is listening today, how often do you get an opportunity to do that, like live events where people can come see you, speak to you, that sort of good stuff? Because that was a little unclear, like let's say tomorrow somebody listens to this and they want to meet you, talk to you, etc. How often do you frequent facilities and where you're out doing public speaking?
Well, the best work I've done in the last really 90 days, I was at the gas station getting my daughter gas cards so she wouldn't spend it at Nordstrom, and I got a crackhead a job within a week and off drugs at a junkyard, not a tech company. That was 3 phone calls. My wife got upset. I gave him my number. Who cares? And then I backed it up by talking to a team that went. They're all African American youth, troubled youth around Sacramento. A lot of their dads, different issues like I had. Some dads not around. I had an 8-year-old crying mid-speech. I had, kids excited. I gave them some money. We talked to them. It was very powerful. I also knew before I started talking who the troublemaker was. I pulled him aside, walked 50 yards away with him, straightened him out in 2 seconds, made him sit back down. Hopefully he listened. I think he did. And then I think it was 3:21 in the morning the other day when I asked my friends that think they're beasts. There's no such thing. I'm a cleaner, have been since I was 5. Thank you, Tim Grover. I worked out with a crackhead, got him a free gym workout for waving. I should have invested in waving. I already told you that, Cindy. I fed him 2 bars he hadn't eaten in 3 days. I talked to him. I pushed him in the weight room. He hadn't been in the weight room probably in 15 years. He had smoked crack around the corner 45 minutes earlier. I talked to him. I said, dude, you still hungry? He goes, yeah, I'm hungry. I took him to Denny's, met a friend of mine there, free food and a $30 tip on free food, and I dropped him back off. I threw his bottles. He was asking me for bottles when he met him. I said, dude, I'm going to throw these bottles in this garbage for you. I just taught you a lesson. I'm going to wheel my packed recycle bin out in front of my house, 1 trophy that I busted my ass for, a $5 bill, full water, 3 cans of tuna. You haven't eaten, sir, yet? Yes, I did today. Okay, you still listening? Yes, I am. I'm going to put a check for a penny, and I'm going to leave the keys to this gate, okay? You can come get it all, or you can figure it out yourself. I just taught you how to pay attention and get off drugs. I went shopping in Folsom, which is completely the opposite direction where I live. I came back an hour later. He could have crawled to my house in 10 minutes. It was still sitting there. It's still sitting there. He got back on a bus and went, Cindy, I'm raising my voice. I'm emotional wreck. Let me lower the tone a little bit. He got back on a bus, and he went to Grand Rapids, Michigan. There's a story behind that. My Vietnamese 2-tour Green Beret wife from Vietnam, Saigon, dad lives in Grand Rapids, which also subsequently, Cindy, my new friend from Wisconsin.
Yes, that's me.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is my band. I never knew why the music made sense. Happened to be from Grand Rapids, Michigan. So
look at that.
Do we want to have? Yeah. So there's everything happens for a reason. I left a trophy out there that I showed up on with the least amount of receptions in high school, cutting school, getting away with everything, with the fastest 2 guys from the other side of the county with their quarterback at the Optimus All-Star football team game, the game. On the first day of the first practice, I did what I did in 1975. I did what I did before I got hit by a car and after a car. Throughout the car business, I showed up first. Max Miller, Hall of Fame football coach, I'll lower my voice back down. At 13 years old, Cindy said, Joey, you're going to be something. Go get yourself a watch. Set it 20 minutes fast. My mom was putting together 2 pennies to make 4 cents. I went, quite frankly, Kmart's out of business. I can announce it. I stole a watch from Kmart. I set it 20 minutes fast, and I'm in my time zone. I can send you a picture of my watch. It's still 20 minutes fast. My wife, 2-tour Green Beret wife, she will argue to me over a week about setting clocks. Every clock in my car is 20 minutes fast. Every clock in my house is 20 minutes fast, or I'll take the batteries out and throw them all in the river, and I'll never look at the time again. I get free watches in Sacramento, discount watches in Sacramento. I wave. I do what I want. Now I just have to restrain myself, behave, pay attention. Because, Cindy, one time I was in jail, unfortunately. The second time, not the first or the third, or should have been 175,000 times. I had to take drastic measures. Because some big dummy was picking on a little dummy, and I was the stupidest guy in the jail cell at that point. I did something that paid dividends, and it's going to be in the book coming out, and that is, as far as my knowledge, a first time ever too. So get ready. The book's coming out. If you like to laugh, try not to swallow my book while you're laughing, and try not to do any mind-altering substances before you laugh. Try not to have any food, or try not to read and eat popcorn at the same time. You might die laughing. And if you do, text me. I have the number to the Life Flight helicopter in Sacramento, California. Actually, now it's in Roseville, California.
Well, this is what I want to do.
So, Cindy, can I say one thing?
Sure.
The difference between me and anybody and everybody listening to this show is absolutely, unequivocally, I figured this out on mile 2187, absolutely nothing. If you turn your life around and you get out of your own way, it's all in the Lord. It's not in me. It's not in you, Cindy, quite frankly, and you know that. It's in the Lord Jesus Christ, and invest in him, because, down here, I couldn't even control myself. How can I control my checkbook, my bank account, a flat tire, a broken windshield, or my windshield wiper coolant that loves iced tea now? I don't know. So it's just I believe in him. I can't wait for half a sandwich in about an hour and a half when I eat. I don't know. So I'm just going to keep focusing on him, not my diet, which I could never get enough of anything. I couldn't get enough beer. I couldn't get enough tequila. I couldn't get enough whiskey. I couldn't get enough free cocaine, or expensive for the first 9 years. Chicken wings one time in Old Sac, free cell phones, and on and on and on. So I'm going to focus on laundry detergent and see how many times I can change my clothes at a laundromat in Orange County today.
Goodness. Well, let me do this, since we've hit our hour mark, sadly, and I have another guest actually just waiting on me here. So I want to, if I could, I want to read off all the ways where folks can find you, because obviously, of course, if they've listened today and they want to find you, they want to find your books, they want to find out about your story. I'll read all of this off. When I get done, just let me know if I've missed anything, if you would. Your website, obviously, is joeyortiz.com, and folks, just so you know, his last name is spelled O-R-T-I-Z. He is on Instagram as Joey Ortiz MVP. Same thing with his Twitter handle, same name, at Joey Ortiz MVP. On Facebook, it's The Real Joey Ortiz. He is also found on Amazon, YouTube, Barnes & Noble, LinkedIn, and Everpedia. Any other place? Anything I missed?
No, I think that's it. And I appreciate you having me on the show today. It's been, for people that don't travel, coming from Northern California to Southern California is a whole different dynamic. Actually, I did fly, like I said. And then with people that bombard with phone calls and text messages, well, are you okay? Are you walking to get a flat tire?
Right.
And then no traffic, the fire, it's a different world. I did find my rental car. I found my hotel room. I found the ocean this morning. And I can't wait to find an iced tea when I get downstairs. So as long as I can make it downstairs without falling, I'll be okay. But I want to thank you for having me. I listened to your interview. Cindy, in its entirety, because I was told to. I know how to listen, believe it or not. And you're fascinating, and I couldn't wait to talk to you, because I listened to the first of many of your show. I'll listen to you every day.
Oh.
So when do you play?
I will send you, actually, when you get off the phone with me sometime today, send your information to Rachel, and then I'll send you the direct links. I'll tell you how often I'm going to be on. I'll send you all the info. And I'm also involved in film, so keep me posted in the loop in terms of when you do your film stuff, because I'm intrigued about that, because I'm a filmmaker myself.
Are you okay physically? Are you going through some issues?
How did you know that?
Because I was listening.
Yes, I am actually. Very recently and continuing to, actually. I myself am going through an enlightenment. But that's a whole other story because I need to get to my other guests. But this is what I want to do.
Okay,
when you get off air,
send her
please, send her your information, contact information. I'll reach out to you directly, and I'll send you all the stuff. And I'll let you know how to find me, and then I'll let you know how to reach my show, etc. And, of course, obviously, I want to be able to make sure that we stay in contact with each other because I think we could help each other. And I appreciate the support. Anybody who loves listening to me, I'm all on board for that. I try to be very fun and sweet and loving and good with my guests. So I hope you had a good time, and I hope I got an A+.
Oh, you got an A+++.
Oh, you're awesome. Now promise me to stay safe and send me a note and let me know that you made it okay.
I will. As soon as I change my clothes for the first time, I'll text you.
I appreciate it. I would appreciate that, Joey. You have a wonderful afternoon. Stay safe.
I'm going to pray for you, honey. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Tell me that guy was not having a fascinating story, right? And I love the fact that he has used such a great sense of humor, that he has used his time and his talents for good, that he has learned a lesson and stayed sober now and turned his life around and is using it to inspire and motivate and to make people happy. It's very touching to me whenever I have individuals on the show. I just feel like there's always a reason why I have certain guests coming on the show. I'm always moved by touching stories where the good guy ends up winning, and sometimes it's a roundabout sort of way to get to the point where we need to go. So kudos to you, my dear friend, my new friend, and it's not very often that I find out that people are creeping on me, because as the journalist, I'm usually the one that's creeping on them. So I find it rather interesting that he checked me out, so that's awesome. So again, I just want to remind everybody, obviously, of all the ways to find him. Again, his website is joeyortiz.com. He is on YouTube, LinkedIn, Everpedia, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. On Instagram, it's Joey Ortiz MVP. Twitter, same thing, at Joey Ortiz MVP. And Facebook, The Real Joey Ortiz. So, again, check out the books, Unstoppable, The Joey Ortiz Story, Blow Up Your Lending Craft, and Correcting a Reckless Life. And obviously, like we mentioned, he is a motivational speaker. Please do your best to send out prayers and love and good thoughts to him, because obviously he is in the California area. And as we all know by watching some of the information on television or some of the posts that we've been seeing on social media, it's not a pretty picture out there right now. So we're sending prayers and love and our good thoughts. And anybody in California who needs our help, please don't hesitate to reach out to the states and let us know what you need as far as that goes. We are just holding on the line here for John Kinrose to come on. I feel terribly because obviously we ran a little bit late, so hopefully you'll get an opportunity to give us a call in. I don't want to forget to mention the lovely and fabulously talented Rachel Darris. If it wasn't for her, and I apologize, Rachel, if I said your name wrong, Big Hype Marketing. She has hooked me up with a number of different individuals, and they're all at the top of their game. It's called Big Hype Marketing. If you ever need anybody in the PR realm, she's your girl. It's www.bighypemarketing.com. Wonderful, fascinating individual, and not to mention the fact she looks pretty damn good too. So kudos to you, Rachel, on having every single client that's above and beyond as it relates to talent, and they're fascinating. So thank you so much, because obviously both of these clients today are both from her, and I've done a bunch of her clients so far, so hopefully she's satisfied and thrilled with the end result of things. So want to remind everybody, since I have an extra free moment here, don't forget to make it a point this coming season, since obviously we're in the holiday season where we've gone through Thanksgiving, we're now at Christmas and the New Year. Take 5 minutes of your time to make sure that you go ahead and do something nice for someone else. And that doesn't always necessarily have to be on the monetary side of things. I know oftentimes people think that the whole idea is they have to go ahead and spend a whole bunch of money, and they have to do their very best to make it a point to buy an extravagant gift or make an extravagant gesture. That's not how things are. Oftentimes, it's just a matter of calling someone to say hi, sending them a little love note, letting them know you're thinking about them. Major, absolutely major. So take 5 minutes to do that today, folks, if you would. So without further ado, let's get John Kinross on this. Finally, we have our guest on. Okay, we don't have our guest on. Oh, This is kind of frustrating here. I've just been in contact or trying to get in contact with Rachel, as a matter of fact, to get him to I wonder if we're having a technical difficulty here, folks. I apologize for the delay here. I'm not quite sure because I know everybody got the same phone number. And, well, I wonder if maybe we're just going to have a problem with doing the second show. So let's go ahead and see if we can't reschedule John, as sad as I am to say it, unfortunately. Folks, thanks so much for listening in. Thanks so much for taking the time to support Joey and myself today. I'm off to go do my Christmas tree this afternoon because I have to work all night. Don't forget tomorrow, double back show at 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. Acme Pelvic and then Presenting Perfection tomorrow from 1 to 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. You guys have a great afternoon and take care.
Napa know-how.
A Napa guy knows more isn't always better, unless we're talking about full-size vans. These beasts do more than get you from A to B. They have so much space a man can live in it. With shag carpeting, waterbed, and a sweet lava lamp, these mobile abodes have all the comforts of home. With quality parts and plenty of Napa know-how, you can keep the original tiny house running longer, stronger. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.